July 13th, 1942. 0847 hours. Nizhny Farm, Tarasovsky District, Soviet Union. The steppe is silent. Too silent. Lieutenant Semyon Konovalov stands in the commander's hatch of his KV. One heavy tank. Binoculars press against sun-scorched eyes. Behind him, the 15th Tank Brigade has vanished into the eastern horizon. Dust trails fading like ghosts. They couldn't wait. The mission couldn't wait. His tank couldn't keep up. Beneath the 47-ton steel beast, transmission fluid leaks from a cracked fuel supply system. Black stains pool in the dirt. The engine sputters. Dies. Roars back to life. Dies again. Technical Sergeant Serebryakov lies beneath the hull, wrench in hand, sweat mixing with oil. 5 crew members surround the wounded machine. Driver Kozyrentsov, gunner Akinin, loader Gerasimchuk, radio operator Demeniev, co-pilot Cherevinsky. All of them know the truth. They've been left behind. The fighting retreat from Milorovo has torn the 15th Brigade apart. Konovalov's platoon, once 5 tanks strong, is now reduced to this single battered KV-1. The armor bears scars, gouges from 50mm rounds, blast marks from near misses, a fractured track link hastily welded during the previous night's fighting. Brigade Commander Pushkin made the call an hour ago. We can't wait for repairs. Hold your position. Catch up when you can. If you can, the landscape offers no comfort. Rolling grassland stretches in every direction, broken only by a shallow ravine 200 meters north. A few stunted trees. A burned-out farmhouse. No cover. No reinforcements. No escape route that doesn't involve 47 tons of steel actually moving. Konovalov lowers the binoculars. Runs calculations he doesn't want to run. The German 14th and 22nd Panzer Divisions are somewhere west of here, rolling through the encirclement like a steel avalanche. If they sent reconnaissance this far east, sir. Serebryakov's voice cuts through the morning heat. Fuel lines patched. She'll run. The engine catches. Holds. The transmission groans but engages. For exactly 7 seconds, relief washes through the crew. Then Akinin shouts in the gunner's position. 2 vehicles. Southwest. 600 meters. Moving fast. Konovalov snaps the binoculars up. Through the heat shimmer, 2 shapes materialize. German armored reconnaissance cars. SDKFZ 222s. 4-wheel death on scouting missions. They're not expecting contact. Not expecting a Soviet heavy tank sitting alone in the middle of nowhere. The lead vehicle spots the KV. Both vehicles break. Dust clouds erupt. The moment stretches. Predator and prey evaluating each other. The first SDKFZ begins a turn. Reporting back is more valuable than engaging. Akinin, lead vehicle. Now. The 76.2mm F-32 main gun speaks first. The round crosses 600 meters in 1.5 seconds. Catches a turning reconnaissance car in the engine compartment. The vehicle doesn't explode. It simply ceases to exist as a functional machine. Fire blooms. Ammunition cooks off. The second SDKFZ guns its engine. Fleeing IT makes it 80 meters before a tree line swallows it from view. Silence returns. But it's different now. The kind of silence that precedes a storm. Konovalov doesn't need to explain it to his crew. They all understand. The Germans know they're here. Kozyrentsov, that ravine north of us. Can we fit? The driver studies the depression through his viewport. Hull down. Turret exposed. Tight fit. Do it. Now. Everyone else. Load armor piercing. Maximum ammunition ready in the fighting compartment. The KV-1 lurches forward. Tracks chew earth. The steel beast crawls toward the ravine like a wounded animal seeking shelter. It takes 4 minutes to position. For minutes where they're completely exposed. For minutes where any German observer with a radio could guide artillery onto their position. They settle into the ravine. The hull disappears below ground level. Only the turret shows, a smaller target, harder to hit. The landscape appears empty again. Except everyone knows it isn't. Konovalov checks his watch. 0904 hours. He keys the radio. Static. The brigade is too far east now, beyond reliable range. He's not even sure they're transmitting on the right frequency anymore. They're alone. Ammunition count, he orders quietly. 32 armor-piercing, 14 high-explosive, full machine gun belts, 32 shots. Against what's coming. Dementiev, the radio operator, looks at his commander, 21 years old, farm boy from Yambulatovo. Sir, what do we do? Konovalov doesn't answer immediately. He's calculating. The reconnaissance car that escaped will report back to its parent unit. Standard German doctrine. They'll send a platoon to investigate for maybe 5 Panzers. Probably Panzer IIIs or IVs. The KV, one can handle that. Its armor is nearly impervious to their guns at range. But if it's more than a platoon, we wait, he finally says. We see what they send, and we make them pay for every meter. The sun climbs higher. Heat radiates off the armor plating. Inside the fighting compartment, temperature rises past 35 degrees Celsius. The crew sweats, waits, watches 0.0927 hours. Dust on the horizon, not a small cloud. A massive one. The dust cloud resolves into shapes. Then the shapes resolve into nightmares. Contact. Southwest. Multiple vehicles. Akkinen's voice remains steady, but his hands tighten on the gun controls. Counting. 8, no, 12, still counting. Konovalov presses his face against the commander's periscope. His stomach drops. This isn't a reconnaissance platoon. This is a company. Maybe more. Through the magnification, German armor materializes like steel ghosts emerging from heat shimmer. Panzer IIIs in the lead. Their 50mm guns glinting in morning sun. Behind them, heavier silhouettes. Panzer IVs with their stubby 75mm cannons. And in the center of the formation, something that makes Konovalov's blood run cold, that of Panzer IV. F2, the new model. Long-barrel 75mm gun capable of penetrating KV. 1 armor at combat ranges. Final count, Akkinen reports. 14 vehicles. 13 Panzers, 1 half-track. 14 that against 1.1 damage tank with a questionable transmission and 32 armor-piercing rounds. Konovalov does the math instantly. Even with perfect accuracy, which does exist in combat, they're outnumbered more than 4-1. The KV-1's armor advantage evaporates against that new Panzer IV. 1 penetrating hit to the turret ring. 1 lucky shot through the driver's viewport. 1 round into the already damaged engine compartment. Sir? Kozyrentsev's voice comes through the intercom, waiting for orders, waiting for the decision that might be their last. Run or fight. The engine could fail in the first 100 meters. They'd be a sitting target. Turret facing the wrong direction. Caught in the open. Or they could stay in the ravine. Use the terrain. Force the Germans to close the distance. Force them to come through hell. We hold. Konovalov says quietly. Range to lead vehicles. 1,200 meters. Closing fast. Too far. The F-32 gun is accurate, but at 1,200 meters against moving targets, they'd waste ammunition they don't have. Better to wait. Let them come closer. Let them think they've found easy prey. The German formation advances with textbook precision. 3 vehicle platoons in staggered echelon, maintaining intervals, covering each other. This isn't a hasty advance. This is professional Wehrmacht armored doctrine executed by veterans of the French campaign, the Balkans, the first year of Barbarossa. They've done this 1,000 times before. They expect no resistance. Just 1 more Soviet tank to add to the kill count. Another casualty in the endless retreat. 900 meters now. The German commander hasn't even deployed his vehicles into combat formation. They're still in approach march, bunched together, maximizing speed over defensive spacing. Confident, maybe overconfident. Akkinen, see that lead Panzer III? Second from the left. Acquired. When they hit 800 meters, that's your target. 1 shot. Make it count. Then traverse left of the Panzer IV, the one with the long gun. That's target 2. Understood. Konovalov can hear his gunners breathing through the intercom. Slow, controlled. Akinen is 34 years old, married, 2 children evacuated somewhere east of the Urals. Before the war, he assembled agricultural machinery in Stalingrad. Now he assembles death with a trigger pull. 850 meters. The German column crosses an invisible line in Konovalov's mind, the point where commitment becomes irreversible. If they're going to detect the hull-down KV, one in the ravine, it'll be in the next 30 seconds. If they don't, 820 meters of ANO reaction. No deployment. No hasty repositioning. They haven't seen the trap point 800 meters. Fire. The 76.2 millimeters gun unleashes thunder. The recoil rocks the 47-ton tank backward against the ravine wall. Smoke fills the fighting compartment. Through the commander's periscope, Konovalov watches the armor-piercing round cross 800 meters in less than 2 seconds. It strikes the lead Panzer III exactly where the turret meets the hull. The German tank doesn't brew up dramatically, doesn't explode. The round simply punches through 30 millimeters of armor and turns the crew compartment into a slaughterhouse. The Panzer lurches sideways, driver dead or incapacitated, then rolls to a stop. Smoke begins seeping from hatches. The German formation freezes for exactly 2 seconds. Confusion. Shock. Where did that come from? Those 2 seconds cost them everything. Target 2 acquired. Akinen shouts. The turret traverses left with hydraulic whine. The long-barreled Panzer IV is already starting to turn, commander scanning for threats, but he's looking in the wrong direction, checking the tree line, not the seemingly empty ravine. Fire. The second round catches the Panzer IV in the front glassy plate. The armor is too thick there. The shot ricochets skyward with shower of sparks. But the impact is like getting hit with sledgehammer. The German tank staggers, stops dead. The driver panics, throws it into reverse, but the engine stalls. Now the Germans see them. Contact northeast. Heavy tank. Hull down position. Konovalov doesn't speak German, but he doesn't need to. The enemy formation explodes into chaos. Panzers scatter like startled insects. 3 vehicles immediately swing their turrets toward the ravine. Others deploy smoke grenades. The half-track containing infantry accelerates hard right. Try and get out of the kill zone. Traverse right. Next target. Fast. But the Germans are fast too. Trained. Experienced. The first return fire comes not from the Panzers, but from the panicked Panzer IV with the stalled engine. Its crew got it restarted. Now its long 75 millimeters gun is tracking toward the KV-1's exposed turret. IT fires first. The world becomes noise and violence. The German round slams into the turret front, exactly where Konovalov's head would be if he were standing 3 centimeters to the left. The armor holds. Barely. But the impact is tremendous. Konovalov is thrown against the hatch rim. Blood fills his mouth. Ringing fills his ears. Report, he screams. Gun operational. Loader operational. I'm okay. Gerasimchuk's voice. Shaken but functional. Driver okay. Forward transmission engaged. Radio damaged. Still receiving. The crew is alive. The tank is alive. Firing. Akinen doesn't wait for orders. The gun speaks again. This time the round finds a Panzer IV's turret ring, the weak point where armor is thinnest. The German tank shudders. Stops. Hatches pop open. Crew bails out into the grass. Uniform smoking. 3 down. 11 to go. The Germans have found their courage, and their range .2 Panzer IIIs fire simultaneously from 600 meters. One round strikes the ravine embankment, detonating dirt and stone into a brown geyser that obscures vision. The other hits the KV-1's turret side, a glancing blow that screams off the curved armor like a banshee. Inside, the noise is inhuman. Metal shrieking against metal. The crew flinches but holds position. Traverse. Target that Panzer III. Right side. Moving left to right. Acquired. Fire. Akinen's 4th shot catches the Panzer mid-movement. The round penetrates the thinner side armor, entering the crew compartment at an angle that turns the interior into a nightmare of shrapnel and hydraulic fluid. The vehicle lurches violently. slews left, crashes into another Panzer III trying to maneuver around it. Both tanks tangle. Tracks locked. Crews screaming at each other through hatches. Chaos is spreading through the German formation like poison. Their advantage, numbers, mobility, coordinated fire, is collapsing because they can't flank what they can't reach. The ravine protects the KV-1's hull. The frontal turret armor is too thick for their 50mm guns to penetrate at this range. They need to get closer, get angles, get around to the sides or rear. But approaching means crossing open ground. Crossing open ground means dying. Multiple targets advancing. 3 vehicles, 400 meters, spread formation. Akkinen's voice climbs half an octave. For the first time, uncertainty creeps in. 3 targets. 1 gun. Mathematics that don't favor survival. Take the center vehicle. Now. The KV-1 fires. Mississippi. The round impacts dirt 5 meters short, throwing soil across the advancing Panzer's glassy plate. The German doesn't even slow down. He knows the Soviet crew is under pressure now, knows they're counting ammunition, knows desperation when he sees it. Reload. Fast. Gerasimchuk slams another armor-piercing round into the breach. The mechanism closes with metallic finality. 6 seconds have elapsed. 6 seconds where the advancing Panzers have closed 70 meters. 330 meters now. Close enough to kill. Firing. The second shot doesn't miss. It strikes the center Panzer III's front armor at an angle that defeats the slope. Penetration. The vehicle erupts in flame, ammunition cooking off. Crew never had a chance to bail. The explosion is so violent that the 2 flanking Panzers break instinctively, commanders flinching away from a fireball. That flinch cost them. Left target. Acquired. Fire. 5 down. But the mathematics are catching up. Konovalov's crew is fighting with mechanical precision, but they're still human. Fatigue. Stress. The fighting compartment temperature has climbed past 40 degrees. Sweat burns eyes. Hands slip on controls. Gerasimchuk is loading rounds as fast as physically possible, but the KV-1's ammunition storage is scattered throughout the hull, not the efficient ready racks of later designs. Every 3rd or 4th round requires him to crawl to a different compartment, grab the shell, crawl back, load. Those seconds matter. The remaining German commander, whoever he is, sees the pattern, recognizes the reload cycle, adapts. All units advance simultaneously. Alternating fire. Go, go, go. 8 Panzers surge forward as one. Not a cautious advance. A cavalry charge in steel. They're sacrificing defensive positioning for speed, betting everything that they can overwhelm the lone Soviet tank through pure aggression before it kills them all. It's actually smart. 400 meters. 350. 300. Multiple targets closing fast. Konovalov's mind goes cold. Crystal clear. This is the moment, the hinge point. They can continue fighting from the ravine and die when the Germans get close enough for killing shots. Or, Kozyrentsov, reverse, 30 meters. Now. Sir, do it. The driver throws the transmission into reverse. The KV-1 lurches backward, pulling away from its hull-down position. For 5 seconds, the entire tank is exposed. Sitting at ground level with no cover, no protection, every weak point visible to 8 German guns. 3 Panzers fire immediately. 1 round misses high. 1 deflects off the frontal armor with a sound like a church bell breaking. The 3rd hits the track assembly. Not a penetration, but the impact shears 2 track links. The left side track goes slack, dangling uselessly. The KV-1 is immobile, but it's also at a different angle now. Different range, different geometry, and the Germans weren't expecting it to move. Akkinen, rapid fire, closest targets. Don't stop. The gunner becomes a machine. Target, fire, reload, target, fire, reload. No precision shots now. No carefully aimed killing blows. Just speed, volume. Desperation translated into high explosive violence. Boom. Panzer III at 280 meters. Turret penetration. Crew dead. Boom. Panzer IV trying to flank right. Track hit. Immobilized. Burning. Boom. Another Panzer III. Mississippi. Second shot. Hit. Mobility kill. The German charge falters. 3 more vehicles dead or dying in 30 seconds. The survivors, 5 Panzers still combat effective, suddenly realize they're not fighting a defensive position anymore. They're fighting something cornered, wounded, impossibly dangerous. The half-track with infantry, forgotten in the chaos, tries to pull back. It's 400 meters away, no threat, not even worth a main gun round. Demeniev, the radio operator, takes personal offense to that. He swings a hull-mounted 7.62 millimeters machine gun and stitches a half-track with 30 rounds. The vehicle swerves, crashes. Wehrmacht infantry tumble out, running for cover that doesn't exist. Ammunition count: 17 armor-piercing, 8 high-explosive, 17 shots, 5 targets. The math finally works in their favor. But the Germans aren't retreating. The survivors are deployed into a firing line, 300 meters away, spread out, coordinating. They've accepted casualties. Now they're going to finish this properly. Professional, methodical, lethal. The first indication comes from the radio. Demeniev's damaged receiver crackles with German transmission fragments. Konovalov doesn't speak German fluently, but he knows enough, knows the tone, knows what's coming. Artillery observer coordinates confirm 3 minutes. Artillery. They've called for artillery. Konovalov looks at his immobilized tank. 1 broken track. 17 rounds remaining. 5 enemy vehicles in direct fire range. And somewhere west of here, German 105 millimeters howitzers are calculating firing solutions. 3 minutes until the first shells arrive. The crew knows. No one speaks. Gerasimchuk pauses with an armor-piercing round halfway to the breach. Kozyrentsov stares at his useless driving controls. Even Akinin stops traversing the turret for half a second. Then Konovalov makes the only decision that makes sense. We finish them first. All of them. Akinin, target left to right. Kill them all before those guns find us. And then we see if God favors tankers. The KV-1 speaks again. 2 minutes 40 seconds until artillery impact. The KV-1's gun becomes an instrument of pure destruction. Akinin no longer aims for weak points or careful angles. At 300 meters, even a rush shot will penetrate Panzer III armor. Speed matters now. Volume matters. Killing matters. The first target, a Panzer III attempting to reposition left, never completes a maneuver. The 76.2 millimeters round catches it in the turret side. The interior flash cooks the crew. The tank rolls forward 3 meters on momentum alone before stopping, smoke pouring from every opening. Next target. The turret traverse winds, hydraulics straining. Akinin's hands move with desperate precision. He's not thinking anymore. Pure muscle memory forged in 100 training exercises, refined in a dozen previous engagements. His world has collapsed to crosshairs, range estimation, trigger pressure. Boomed out a Panzer IV takes a round through its frontal armor. Not a clean penetration. The shell lodges halfway through, doesn't fully breach. But the kinetic energy transfer is catastrophic. The tank's entire frame shudders. Something internal breaks. White smoke erupts from the engine deck. The crew bails immediately, knowing their vehicle is dead, even if it's not burning yet. 3 remaining. 2 minutes 10 seconds. The Germans realize they're losing the race against time. 1 Panzer III commander makes a suicidal decision. Full throttle charge, straight at the immobilized KV-1. If he can close the point-blank range, his 50 millimeters gun might find a weak spot. The driver's viewport. The turret ring. Something. It's brave. It's also fatal. Charging vehicle. Dead ahead. I see him. The Panzer III accelerates to 30 kilometers per hour. 40. The distance collapses. 250 meters. 200. The German gunner fires on the move. Impossible accuracy. But maybe he'll get lucky. The round screams past the KV-1's turret, missing by centimeters. 150 meters. Akinin fires a this range. The armor-piercing round doesn't just penetrate, it overpenetrates, enters the front glacis, passes through the crew compartment, exits the rear armor. The Panzer III continues forward for another 20 meters, engine still running, but everyone inside is already dead. It finally stops when the dead driver's foot slips off the accelerator. 2 remaining 0.1 minute 30 seconds. The last 2 German commanders understand the situation with crystalline clarity. They're not going to win this. The broken Soviet tank has killed 12 of their 14 vehicles. 12. The survivors can retreat, save their crews, live to fight another day. Or they can try to finish what they started. Both panzers, a Panzer III and a Panzer IV, advance together, coordinated, firing alternately to keep the Soviet crew suppressed. One shoots, the other moves. Leapfrog tactics designed to overwhelm a defender. It almost works that a Panzer IV round strikes the KV-1's gun mantlet. The armor holds, but the impact jams the elevation mechanism. Akinin tries to adjust aim. The gun won't move up, won't move down. Locked in place. Elevation jammed. Can you fire? Not at moving targets. They're below my sight picture. The Germans sense weakness. Both vehicles accelerate, closing to 100 meters. 80, if they can get beneath the KV-1's gun depression. They'll have free shots at the thinner lower hull armor. Konovalov makes a decision in half a second. Kozyrentsov, engine full power. Pivot turn right. Sir, the track. I know. Do it. The driver guns the engine. The right track is still functional. The left track is broken, dragging. But with enough power, the tank can pivot on the working track, using the broken side as an anchor point. It's brutal. It's mechanically nightmarish. It might destroy what's left of the transmission. The KV-1 begins to rotate, slowly, ponderously. 47 tons scraping in a tight circle. The German panzers see the turret swinging toward them. They fire simultaneously. One round strikes the turret front. Another brutal hit that leaves Konovalov's ears ringing. The other hits the hull side, finding the ammunition storage compartment. Nothing happens. The round doesn't penetrate. Soviet armor quality, inconsistent, sometimes too soft, sometimes too hard, randomly save their lives. If the armor had been 3 millimeters thinner, the pivot completes. The jam gun is now at the correct elevation by sheer mechanical luck, aimed exactly where the 2 German tanks have positioned themselves. Fire. Both targets. Fire, fire, fire. Akinin pulls the trigger. The round catches the Panzer III's center mass. Catastrophic kill. The vehicle explodes. Ammunition detonation that tears the turret completely off the hull. It flips twice in the air before crashing to Earth 50 meters away. One target remaining 0.30 seconds until artillery. Gerasimchuk loads the last armor-piercing round with shaking hands. His arms are lead. His back screams from the repetitive motion of hauling 20-kilogram shells. Sweat blinds him, but he loads. The last Panzer IV, the survivor of 14 vehicles, knows it's alone, knows it's dead. The commander could retreat, could run. Instead, he charges, not toward the KV-1, toward glory, toward legend, toward the kind of death that gets remembered. 50 meters. 40. 30. The crews can see each other now. Soviet faces smoke-blackened and exhausted. German faces twisted with desperate fury. 2 groups of men who've never met, who speak different languages, who were born in different worlds. All of them willing to die in the next 5 seconds. 20 meters. Fire. The final shot leaves the KV-1's barrel at the exact moment the German commander pulls his trigger. Both rounds fly true. The KV-1's armor-piercing shell enters the Panzer IV's turret at an angle that's almost horizontal. Inside, death is instant, merciful. The vehicle coasts forward on momentum before its engine finally dies. The German round strikes the KV-1's already damaged track assembly, hits something critical in the suspension. The entire left side collapses with a grinding metallic shriek. The tank lurches violently. Konovalov is thrown against the hatch rim for the second time. Blood from his earlier wound reopens. Silence. Impossible, terrible silence. 14 German vehicles scattered across the steppe. Burning. Broken. Destroyed. One Soviet tank immobilized. Damaged. Out of armor-piercing ammunition. And then Konovalov hears it. Distant. Growing louder. The whistle of incoming artillery. Everyone out. Now. Out, out, out. The crew doesn't question. Hatches pop open. 5 men tumble from the KV. One like drowning sailors abandoning ship. Konovalov goes last, dropping 3 meters to ground, landing badly, ankles screaming protest. They run point 20 meters from the tank. 30, 40, the first 105mm shell impacts exactly where the KV-1 sat 30 seconds ago. The explosion is tremendous. A column of fire and earth that climbs 50 meters into morning sky. Shrapnel screams outward in every direction. More shells follow. Walking barrage. Methodical German gunnery that turns a ravine into hell. 3 shells. 5. 8. The artillery observer can't see that the Soviet crew has already escaped. He's just following doctrine. Destroy the target. Confirm the kill. The KV-1 takes direct hit after direct hit. The armor holds the first 3 impacts. The 4th shell penetrates the engine deck. Internal fire. The 5th finds the ammunition storage. The tank that killed 14 enemy vehicles dies in a fireball that can be seen for 5 kilometers. Konovalov and his crew lie flat in the grass 400 meters away, arms covering their heads, feeling the earth shake with each detonation. The bombardment continues for 2 full minutes. 40 shells, maybe 50. German thoroughness. German efficiency. When it finally stops, nothing remains but a smoking crater and twisted metal. The crew doesn't move for another 5 minutes. Waiting. Listening. Making sure the artillery has truly finished. Then, slowly, Konovalov rises. His ankle might be sprained. His head is still bleeding. His ears ring so badly he can barely hear. But he's alive. They're all alive. He looks at his crew. Kozyrentsov, Akinin, Gerasimchuk, Dementiev, Cherevinsky, 5 men covered in oil and blood and dirt, staring at the place where their tank used to exist. We need to move, Konovalov says quietly. East, toward our lines. No one argues. They begin walking. Behind them, 14 destroyed German vehicles mark the killing ground. Smoke rises into the perfect summer sky. The steppe stretches endlessly in every direction and no roads. No landmarks. Just grass and heat and the distant smoke of a battle that's already becoming memory. Konovalov leads. The others follow in silence. They move northeast, toward where the 15th Tank Brigade should be, towards Soviet lines that might be 5 kilometers away or 50. Nobody knows. Radio contact was lost hours ago. The front is fluid, collapsing, reshaping itself by the hour. Behind them, the German artillery has stopped. The target is confirmed destroyed. Mission accomplished. Except the target is walking, Akinin limps. Something wrong with his knee, twisted during the bailout, or maybe from the constant impacts against the gun controls. He doesn't complain, just limps. Gerasimchuk's hands are burned from handling hot shell casings without proper gloves. The skin on his palms is blistered, weeping. Dementiev's ears bleed from acoustic trauma. Too close to too many explosions. They're alive. That's what matters. For now, AT 1,100 hours, they find the first body. Soviet infantry. Corporal, judging by insignia. Face down in the grass. Rifle still clutched in dead hands. Bullet entry wound through the back. Running when he died. How long ago? Hours? Days? The summer heat makes decomposition rapid. Already flies have found him. Konovalov kneels. Checks the body not out of morbid curiosity, but necessity. Ammunition pouches. Empty. Canteen. Empty. Papers. Too sun-damaged to read. He takes the identification tag. Someone should know this man died here. Someone should be able to tell his family. The crew moves on AT 1,145 hours. They find the second body, then the third. then a dozen more. The remnants of a Soviet rifle company that tried to make a stand and got overrun. German tank tracks have crushed some of the corpses into the earth. Others are sprawled in defensive positions they never abandoned, died manning machine guns, manning anti-tank rifles, manning positions that became graves. Keep moving, Konovalov says quietly. Looking too long does things of mind, makes the heat feel colder, makes survival feel like theft. The sun climbs to its zenith. Temperature soars past 40 degrees Celsius. They have no water. The single canteen Kozyrentsov managed to grab during the bailout has been empty for an hour. Dehydration begins its slow work. Headaches, dizziness, slowed thinking. Cherevinsky, the youngest, barely 20, starts falling behind. His steps become mechanical, uncoordinated. Heat exhaustion. Konovalov calls a halt in the shadow of a burned-out truck. 5 minutes rest. 5 minutes that might mean the difference between reaching friendly lines and dying in the grass. Lieutenant, Akinen's voice. Quiet, controlled, movement, southwest, 300 meters. Everyone freezes. Konovalov pulls out his binoculars, miraculously still intact, still functional. Scans the indicated direction. Heat shimmer makes observation difficult. Then shapes materialize. Vehicles, moving slowly, searching. German reconnaissance, looking for survivors of the artillery strike, looking for confirmation, looking for prisoners to interrogate about Soviet unit dispositions. Down. Everyone down. Don't move. The crew presses flat against the earth. 5 men in grass that's not quite tall enough to hide them. If the Germans have proper optics, if they scan this direction, the vehicles approach. 2 SDKFZ 222 armored cars and a half-track full of infantry. Same type of reconnaissance element that spotted the KV. 6 hours ago. They're methodical, thorough, checking every piece of wreckage, every body. 200 meters away now. Konovalov can hear German voices carried on the wind. Can't make out words, just the cadence. Professional, unhurried. They have all day. They own this ground. 150 meters. The half-track stops. An officer steps out, scans the area with binoculars. He's looking for exactly what Konovalov and his crew are, survivors who bailed before the artillery arrived. The Germans aren't stupid. They know Soviet tank doctrine. No crews often escape. The officer's binoculars sweep across the landscape. Pause. Sweep back. He's looking directly at their position. Konovalov doesn't breathe, doesn't move, doesn't blink. Beside him, Gerasimchuk has his eyes closed. Silent prayer to a god he claimed not to believe in during political officer lectures. 10 seconds pass. 20. 30th, the German officer lowers his binoculars, waves to his men. The vehicles start moving again. Southwest, away from the Soviet crew they didn't see. Impossible luck. Divine intervention. Random chance of a universe built on random chances. The reconnaissance element disappears over a low ridge. Engine sounds fade. Silence returns. Nobody moves for another 5 minutes, making absolutely certain. Then Konovalov rises slowly, every muscle protesting. We keep moving. Northeast. Stay low. No talking. The march continues AT 1,330 hours. They hear artillery again. Distant. Coming from the east. Not German guns. Soviet. The sound is different. Slightly higher pitch, different cadence. Somewhere ahead, Soviet forces are still fighting. Still holding. Still alive. Hope is dangerous. Hope makes you careless. But it also makes you walk faster. At 1,415 hours, they find water. A small stream, more mud than liquid. But it's wet. They drink. Too much. Too fast. Stomachs cramp. Nobody cares. Water is life. Water is continued existence. At 1,500 hours, they see it dototrilene. Actual trees, not the stunted scrub growth. And beyond the trees, earthworks, trenches, fighting positions, and movement. Not the efficient, coordinated movement of Germans, but the desperate, chaotic movement of Soviet units reorganizing after retreat. Friendly lines, Kozyrentsov whispers. His voice cracks. Might be dehydration. Might be emotion. They approach carefully. Hands visible. Shouting in Russian. Making absolutely certain some nervous private doesn't mistake them for German infiltrators. Hold fire. Soviet tankers. 15th Brigade. Don't shoot. A challenge comes back. Password verification. Konovalov gives a correct response from 6 hours ago, hoping it hasn't changed, hoping they're not walking into a unit that doesn't know the 15th Brigade's authentication codes. Advance slowly. Keep your hands up. They comply. Walk forward like prisoners surrendering. Cross 30 meters of open ground that feels like 30 kilometers. Then they're among Soviet soldiers, infantry from the 203rd Rifle Division. Gaunt faces tracking their approach with rifles that don't quite lower. A captain emerges from a dugout, studies Konovalov's tanker uniform, the oil stains, the blood. You're far from your unit, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. Mechanical failure. We engaged enemy armor. 14 vehicles destroyed. Tank destroyed by artillery. We walked here. The captain's expression doesn't change. He's heard 1,000 impossible stories in the last month. Heard survivors claim everything from killing 50 Germans to single-handedly holding off divisions. Exhaustion and trauma make men into liars. Make them believe their own exaggerations. 14 vehicles. Yes, sir. 13 panzers. 1 half-track. With 1 tank. Yes, sir. The captain studies Konovalov's face, looking for the telltale signs of delusion, looking for the 1,000-meter stare, looking for whatever marker distinguishes truth from desperate fantasy. Then he sees Konovalov's crew, sees their hands, their burns, their injuries consistent with being inside a tank under sustained fire, sees the way they stand, not like men who ran, but like men who fought until there was nothing left to fight with. Get them to the aid station, the captain says finally, then report to brigade command. They'll want to hear this. The aid station is a hole in the ground covered with camouflage netting. 3 doctors, 2 nurses, 50 wounded men. Supplies that should have lasted a week, exhausted in 2 days. The smell is overwhelming. Blood, infection, gangrene, disinfectant that isn't strong enough to mask the rot. A medical lieutenant examines Konovalov's head, wound with hands that haven't stopped shaking in 48 hours. You need stitches. I don't have sutures. I don't have proper antiseptic. I can clean it, bandage it, and hope. That's fine. It's not fine, but it's what we have. She works quickly, efficiently. Konovalov watches her face. 25 years old, maybe younger. Dark circles under eyes that have seen too much. Before the war, she probably treated children's fevers in some peaceful Siberian town. Now she triages men missing limbs, choosing who gets morphine and who gets nothing. Akinin's knee gets wrapped. Gerasimchuk's hands get salve and gauze. Dementiev's ears get cotton packing, soaked in something that might be medicinal. Cherevinsky gets treated for severe heat exhaustion, forced to drink weak tea, lie still, let his body remember how to regulate temperature. They're alive, functional, ready to fight again, except they have no tank. At 1,700 hours, a runner finds Konovalov. Brigade commander wants you. Now, bring your crew. They walk through Soviet lines, a patchwork defense being assembled from broken units. Tank crews without tanks. Infantry without heavy weapons. Artillery batteries down, the 3 shells per gun. This is what retreat looks like from the inside. Not the clean red arrows on maps in Moscow. The actual human cost. Brigade headquarters is a repurposed barn. Most of the roof is gone, courtesy of German air superiority. Inside, Colonel Pushkin stands over a map table with 3 other officers. All of them look like they haven't slept in a week. All of them probably haven't. Pushkin looks up as Konovalov enters, studies him for a long moment. I was told you were dead, Lieutenant. Artillery strike at Nizhny-Midyakin. Total destruction. The tank is dead, sir. We are not. Tell me what happened. Everything. Leave nothing out. Konovalov reports. Clinically, professionally, mechanical failure. Decision to hold position. German reconnaissance. German armor company. 14 vehicles engaged. 14 vehicles destroyed. Artillery bombardment. Escape. 6-hour march to friendly lines. The other officers exchange glances. Skepticism written clearly across their faces. One major actually laughs. Not mockery, just exhausted disbelief. 14 vehicles, Lieutenant? Are you certain? Yes, sir. With one KV-1? A damaged KV-1? Yes, sir. Pushkin raises his hand. Silence falls. Lieutenant, I need you to understand something. I'm not doubting your courage. I'm not doubting that you engage the enemy. But 14 vehicles? With one tank? That's... He pauses, choosing words carefully. That's the kind of number that requires verification. I understand, sir. Do you have any proof? Anything beyond your word and your crew's testimony? Konovalov reaches into his pocket, pulls out something he grabbed during the bailout. Instinct, not conscious thought. A fragment of German identification tag torn from one of the destroyed Panzers during the initial engagement, and a small notebook. Standard issue Wehrmacht, pulled from the body of the German half-track commander when they passed the wreckage during their walk. He places them on the map table. Pushkin picks up the notebook, opens it. Inside, meticulous German record-keeping. Unit designations, vehicle numbers, maintenance schedules. And on the last page, hastily scrawled in pencil, 13. Juli 1942, 09:00 Uhr, Auftrag, Feindpanzer vernichten, Position Nizhny Akin, destroy enemy tank, position Nizhny Midyakin, the date, the time, the mission, all matching Konovalov's report. The skeptical major leans over, reads. His expression shifts from disbelief to something else, something closer to awe. Colonel, this is authentic. Wehrmacht 22nd Panzer Division documentation. They sent a full company to destroy a single Soviet tank, and the company never returned. Another officer adds quietly, we've been monitoring German radio traffic. They reported 14 vehicles missing in action this morning, presumed destroyed. They didn't know by what. Pushkin looks at Konovalov, really looks at him, sees past the blood and dirt and exhaustion, sees something that will need to be written down, documented. Remembered Lieutenant Semyon Vasilyevich Konovalov. The full name, formal, official, on behalf of the Soviet Union and the Red Army, I'm recommending you and your crew for the Order of the Red Banner. What you did today... He pauses. What you did today will be studied, taught, remembered long after this war ends. Konovalov doesn't know what to say. The medals feel meaningless. 14 German tanks are dead, but so are the men inside them. Young men, probably drafted, probably just following orders. The same as him, the same as his crew. War doesn't have winners, just survivors. Sir, permission to speak freely? Granted. My crew needs rest. We need water. We need food. Then we need another tank. Pushkin almost smiles. Almost. Lieutenant, we don't have another tank. We barely have enough tanks for the crews who still have them. You and your men will be temporarily assigned to infantry support until we can requisition new vehicles from. No, sir. The word hangs in the barn like a grenade pin pulled but not thrown. Excuse me. With respect, sir, we're tankers, not infantry. Give us any vehicle that moves and has a gun. We'll make it work. The other officers look scandalized. Subordinates don't interrupt colonels. Don't refuse assignments. Don't make demands. But Pushkin doesn't look angry. He looks thoughtful. There's one possibility. He turns to the major. That captured Panzer III we recovered 2 days ago. The one with engine damage. It's German, sir. No spare parts. Ammunition is limited. And it's the enemy's tank. Lieutenant Konovalov just destroyed 14 enemy vehicles with a broken Soviet tank. I think he can manage a broken German one. Pushkin looks back at Konovalov, If I give you that Panzer, if I let you and your crew attempt repairs, can you put it back into service? Konovalov doesn't hesitate. Yes, sir. Even though it's German equipment, even though you'll be fighting an enemy's vehicle, a gun is a gun, sir. Armor is armor. If it kills fascists, I don't care what language is written on the manual. This time, Pushkin does smile. Briefly, report to the motor pool at dawn. Sergeant Serebryakov is already there, looking at the vehicle, see what you can salvage. Yes, sir. Dismissed. And Lieutenant, get some sleep. That's an order. The crew walks out of headquarters into the fading summer light. Golden hour. The kind of evening that would be beautiful if not for the distant artillery. The smoke on the horizon. The knowledge that tomorrow will bring more death. Akinin speaks first. We're going to fight in a German tank. Apparently. That's insane. Yes. They walk in silence for another minute. Then Gerasimchuk starts laughing. Quiet at first. Then louder. Then everyone is laughing. Exhausted, half-delirious laughter that has nothing to do with humor and everything to do with survival. They're alive. Against mathematics. Against probability. Against everything that should have killed them. And tomorrow, they'll do it again. Somewhere west of here, German forces are regrouping, planning, preparing the next offensive. Somewhere in Moscow, Stalin is demanding counterattacks that can't succeed. Somewhere across the Soviet Union, millions of men are dying in a war that will consume everything. But tonight, in a ruined barn on the edge of collapsing Soviet lines, 5 tankers eat their first real meal in 36 hours. Tonight, they survived. That's enough. Historical note. Lieutenant Semyon Vasilyevich Konovalov and his KV. One crew's engagement at Nizhny Farm on July 13, 1942, resulted in confirmed destruction of 16 German tanks, 2 armored vehicles, and 8 other vehicles. Konovalov was awarded the Order of the Red Banner. He survived the war, achieving the rank of major and receiving multiple additional decorations. His actions at Nizhny remain one of the most remarkable single-tank engagements in military history, a testament to courage, skill, and the desperate mathematics of survival.